We play and call it work.
Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome to a special little segment that Steve and I are going to cover for you guys. So recently, the new Space Marine Codex came out.
Remember when we said we talked for 2 days straight and didn't want to do any more reviews?
Yeah.
We got more reviews.
We got more reviews to do, essentially. So we're in today's videos, we're going to be covering, well, for this one, Space Wolves specifically, and then there will be a Dark Angel review going up at the same time.
Yep.
And with that, in the MiniWarGaming Vault, we played a 2,000-point game of the Index Space Wolves versus the Index Dark Angels, with all their trying to show off pretty much all their new rules as much as we could, right, within our confines of 2,000 points, because there's a lot of changes and it's kind of hard to do.
Very true.
In that regard, yeah.
So with these new Index kind of FAQ erratas, keeping the special non-codex Astartes compliant chapters, bringing them more in line with the current Space Marine Codex, we can use them. I know the Space Wolf supplement has been announced, but we don't know how long it's going to be.
Right. And
so for the next bit, we got to use these supplements.
This is what you're going to be playing with for Space Wolves for the next little bit. It could be a month, it could be two, it could be probably not three, but...
That could be anything, honestly. It could be anything. Well, I know it should be shorter than Dark Angels, but...
I would imagine before Christmas.
I would think it's a safe bet.
It's a safe bet before, like, it could be even well before Christmas. Like, no idea.
It could be next week. We have no idea.
And if you want to check out that game we played, you can just click on the link down below to get yourself a 7-day free trial to the MiniWarGaming Vault. It helps support us, and you'll get a super tight game. But then there was some not so tight moments actually.
Okay, so
too.
we have to we played this game already. We have to be very careful as to not give spoilers away.
Right.
So keep in mind, as we talk about certain things, we will talk about how well or how poorly some units operated, but it doesn't actually give away anything in the game overall. The game was tight.
I do have to say, before we go into the meat of the review, our predictions on the unit changes I think were spot on with what was going to perform well, what was not going to perform well.
Absolutely. No, you're right.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So, without a doubt.
Like Luke said, there are 2 reviews up probably right now. I don't know if they're being uploaded staggeredly.
It depends when you're watching it.
The Dark Angel one feels like a whole codex review. We haven't recorded it yet. We're going to record that next, but it's up right now. But it's a whole big hoopla. Now, the Space Wolves, which we're going to do in this book, didn't get as much. They're really more...
They did get reworked. Some things, a couple of units more or less... It was pretty much, I'll be honest, the Wolfen got reworked completely, and that was
a big one.
That was kind of it. Everything else got brought in line and modernized to 9th edition, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
In a way. And we're going to talk about stratagems that were lost and how certain things might not work as nicely as they did before, but other things work better. So
you have to rethink a few things, but we'll get to that. One thing that I want to commend Games Workshop for is putting these out right away.
100%. I did not expect this.
No, exactly. Yeah, Luke and I had a debate of how we would go forward recording, doing bat reps with Dark Angels and Space Wolves specifically.
We had 100% different opinions of it. I'm like, I'm almost certain they're going to release an FAQ saying, okay, for now, because we're going to get the Space Wolf supplement out, just use the Space Wolf Codex. Any updated data sheets like Intercessors or because they had the Venerable Dreadnoughts with the Space Wolf upgrades, use those. But things like Long Fangs or Blood Claws, just use those out of the Space Wolf Codex. I know they're down to 1 wound, but do what you can with that.
My opinion was... if they weren't in the Space Marine book, you couldn't use them. So I couldn't use Deathwing Knights. Yeah. We were both wrong.
Yeah, we were.
Pleasantly.
I did not expect an entire index to be released right away. And it does give you some insight into what the supplement's going to look like, too, which is, at least for the Space Wolves, I kind of like, because they did a thing I like where they took rules that were on datasheets and then they kind of condensed them into datasheet rules. Instead of every Space Wolf unit having the Angels of Death Angels of Death rule, some of them are going to have Swift Hunters, Headstrong, Berserk Charge, and that's just going to be listed on their data sheet. And then they've rewritten those rules a little bit, and we'll go into details about like what Swift Hunters is in a moment.
Okay, so
here.
Before we get into the meat of it, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Right.
After your first read, before you played the game we played, what was your gut feeling about everything you read?
I was a little disappointed because a few of my favorite units kind of got, I'm not going to say nerfed, I'm not going to say anything like that. They just got condensed, and it was just like, ugh, kind of boring. So, Long Fangs, as an example, why did they bother printing Long Fangs in here? I don't get it. There was literally no point.
You have one more heavy weapon?
They could have just put that on the Devastator data sheet. So Long Fangs were very, I guess no, because then you can have Wolfguard to them as well. That's why they had to print them over here. So
2 of Luka's favorite units.
So when it comes to Space Wolves, my favorite units for Space Wolves have always been Blood Claws and Long Fangs. Without a doubt, those are my favorite units. That's why I typically brought them in every game when I played Space Wolves. They might not be the best units, but I like how they mechanically work and the idea behind them. Longfangs being a much more experienced and well-rounded Devastator, like the best Devastators in all the Space Marine chapters.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, let's get into it then, and then I got to pick your brain when we're all done as we do the wrap-up final thoughts things. Okay.
Right.
Where do you think we should start on all this?
Okay, so right away in the supplement, it's like, okay, pretty much you had all your base rules you had before. Hunters Unleashed is now in the Space Marine Codex, which has been reworked we covered this in the Space Marine Codex, but I'll quickly go over it again. You get +1 to hit in the first round of combat, and by first round of combat, I mean the turn you charge, the turn you were charged, or the turn that you heroically intervene with a character or a unit. And then the second part of that used to be that your characters could heroically intervene 6 inches, and then move 6 inches as well. Now it's been reworked to your entire army can use the heroic intervention rule up to 3 inches. Which is way better. That is really good. It kind of enforces the pack tactics and counter charge. Space Wolves used to always have a rule called counterattack.
Yeah.
Which is when they were charged to get an extra attack. This is kind of their way of, because of shock assault, they already get that. Yeah. But this is kind of their way of representing, you don't want to charge Space Wolves because they have the pack tactic mentality, and another unit's going to be dragged
It's very unique. I love it.
Yeah, so typically when you're playing Space Wolves, you want to have units kind of supporting each other. So if one thing gets charged, you can support with maybe 2 other units, and it kind of makes your opponent second guess. That's an awesome chapter tactic. Big fan of that. And
let's talk about, actually, without getting too big onto it, because, I mean, we can get lost in that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I don't find that when I fight against Space Wolves, that comes up that often.
Right.
Because I don't know if it's just the way we're putting up terrain here. We have to talk about it in other books as well, but it's harder to have multiple units stay beside each other.
Right, because there's often with our terrain, there's very narrow lanes that are big enough just for the biggest vehicle we have in our armies or things like that.
So I actually would like to see in the comments, is that common, the level of dense terrain that we're now using in 9th terrain, is that common? Because it is not nerfing, but it is negatively impacting pack tactics.
Right, so it is hard to have a squad, a Terminator squad supported by 2 dreadnoughts all in one clustered area where that'll be all relevant. Right. But there is a stratagem that helps alleviate that a little bit.
Now, with ruins in the infantry, it's a lot easier, but the second you put hard rocks on the table, I find that pack tactics is no longer a thing I gotta worry about when I fight them.
Yeah, but you're right about the ruins thing. With breachable, then it's a little
then it's a
lot easier to manage. And we do keep Savage Fury, which is our I call them doctrine traits. I'm not too sure there's an official rule for them, that when you're in a certain doctrine, you get an additional rule to your army, which is Savage Fury, which works the exact same. While your army is in the Assault Doctrine, every time you roll on a modified hit roll of 6, it counts as 2 hits instead of 1.
Which is pretty cool. It comes up a lot. Right?
It comes up a lot, which is great. I love that it's on modified too for Power Fists and Thunder Hammers and Chain Fists and all that. You don't have to worry about that. In fact, it's even better because all of a sudden it's bam, double the hits. And plus you have Hunters Unleashed, so you get +1 to hit anyways in a lot of cases. Which again, I love that chapter tactic. Big fan of that chapter tactic. And that's actually pretty much it for your detachment abilities. Those stay the exact same. You get Hunters Unleashed and Savage Fury in the Assault Doctrine. The next thing to talk about would be the stratagems. What they did was it kind of looks like they took only stratagems from Saga of the Beast.
Now, is there one or two, or is there one in particular you're I lost this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to come more into the fact of talking about the Longfangs.
Oh, right, yeah.
We lost, so we don't have access to any more of the stratagems in the Space Wolf book. Now, to be fair, a lot of these are just generic Space Marine stratagems, like Orbital Bombardment or Wisdom of the Ancients, which we still have access through the Space Marine Codex. So there's that. There's all the stratagems in the Space Marine Codex, but you get 8 specific Space Wolf stratagems now too, and these are all from Saga of the Beast, which we got as a Psychic Awakening buff, and they're pretty good. I'm okay with all of them, and they're all...
Are they copy and paste, or are they something tweaked?
Yes, they're all pretty much copy and pasted.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of one. I think Crushing Assault. You know what? I kind of feel like a fool because I should have brought in. I meant to bring in the Saga of the Beast for Crushing Assault, but Crushing Assault's really good too. We have Vicious Executioners, which is when a Wolfguard unit from your army goes to fight against infantry in the fight phase. Every time you roll an unmodified wound roll of 6, it does a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage. Now, this is specifically good because I thought this one might get nerfed a little bit, being capped out at 3 mortal wounds per phase. That is not the case here because you look at some of the other stratagems that have been coming out, or FAQ, like the Salamander Flamer one, that gets capped out at 3 wounds. The Mephrit Dynasty.
Well, what do the Salamanders have to roll to do the mortal wound, though?
Flamers only.
No, sorry. What, does it have to be a 6?
It has to be every time you wound with a Flamer on an unmodified 4+.
That's why it's capped at 3.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's only the one model too. I believe.
This stratagem, it's only 6 to wound. I mean, it's very useful. You can use it every time you can, actually.
Especially if you're bringing a lot of. It has to be Wolf Guard fighting infantry specifically too. So there's that restriction there.
Very true. I mean, you used this numerous times throughout the game we played.
Right.
And there was.
It came out big. It came out really big one time.
Yeah, and other times like, oh, he did no mortal wounds, or he only did 1 mortal wound. I mean,
and I'm gonna suspect when it comes to the Space Wolves, you're gonna be bringing. There's a lot more things that have the Wolfguard keyword that you would suspect, like Thunderwolf. Maybe you already know this being an experienced Space Wolf player, but like obviously Wolfguard, Terminators, Wolfguard units. There are veterans. That's the equivalent of veterans. Too,
the people watching this aren't just Space Wolf players.
Right.
The guys whose best friend is a Space Wolf player.
Yeah, he can let them know. Like the new Blade Guard veterans.
You gotta know what you're fighting against, right?
Yeah, the new Blade Guard veterans are Wolfguard, so they'll benefit from that when cutting down infantry. Thunderwolf Cavalry are Wolfguard, Wolfguard Terminators, Wolfguard, regular Wolfguard, not in Terminator armor. I'm pretty sure there's a couple other ones too, but those are the ones that come to mind right now. Those are that I do like Vicious Executioners. That's a good stratagem. And the only reason I'm happy it didn't cap out at 3+ because the Mephrit Dynasty one for shooting attacks do cap out at 3 mortal wounds, which that makes sense because you can have 40 shots in like a Necron Warrior squad. So if that didn't cap out, that could spike pretty high. The next one is Pack Hunters for Cyberwolves and Fenrisian Wolves. And it's okay. I never used it before. I never really brought them before. They didn't change it all. Okay, they did change that they got the Swift Hunters rule, which I'll go into more details about that. They can essentially advance and charge, which is what that does.
Do you want to have those guys advancing and charging? You ever want them charging?
I brought them once. I brought them a few times in a game to do 2 different things. One of them was a screen against smites, which worked fine. But my opponent only had 1 Psyker in that game.
Right.
This was trying to play more competitively when at the time the meta was to spam things. Do you remember what that unit was called for Trader Guard? It was the little like 30-point Psyker. It was a Forge World guy.
It was a Rogue Psyker.
It's pretty much like a Rogue Psyker.
It's Rogue Psyker.
Yeah, and if he perilled, he became super powerful.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy.
That's years ago now.
Yeah, we're talking. That's the last time I did, but that was the meta. Everyone spammed those guys. They brought, and that was before the rule of 3.
They were way too good for 40 points back then.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So that was back then, and the other time was just to have cheap units kind of hanging out in the back, holding objectives.
No.
But they just get shot up and die.
I'm no Space Wolf expert by any means, but these don't have that. Like, they're good for hiding and grabbing objectives.
That's all I've really used them for. I mean, you can use them for other things if you want to play narratively. They got a little bit better. If that makes you feel any better. They pretty much effectively stay the same point cost-ish. The profile is the exact same, but they can advance and charge.
I would like to have seen the Wolves get some kind of armor save, but that's...
They have a 6-up. That's not really much.
Yeah.
That's effectively no armor save. Death Grip Bite works the same way. Thunderwolf Cavalry, the Thunderwolves themselves, do 2 damage each on a bite. And if you're curious what Steve's looking at, he's looking at the strategies.
I'm not doing it.
We don't have the one printout for it.
I'm following along here.
Death Grip Bite works the same way. Touch of the Wild works the exact same way. Whenever one of your characters goes to fight, and it could be any character. It could be Bjorn. It could be Ragnar. Obviously, every 4-up to hit is a second hit, and that does work with Savage Fury, where if you roll a 6-up to hit, it's actually 3 hits instead of 1.
Okay.
Which is really nice. That's only the Assault Doctrine though. Knowledge of the Foe works the exact same way. In fact, this is nice now too because the core rulebook got FAQ or eroded or changed, clarifying that any stratagems that give you CP can go over the 1.
Which was wise because there's a couple of stratagems, this being one of them, that didn't make any sense otherwise.
Well, so this one, but it was the Tyrannid one that didn't make sense. It was if you kill the character with a Gene Stealer unit for 1 CP, you would gain D3, but as the rules were written in the core rulebook, you would only get 1, so you'd pay 1 to get 1. And I thought they'd FAQ the stratagems to being 0 for 1, but no, they actually made it a lot better, saying that you can get multiple command points back.
Kill a couple of characters, get some command points back, which is cool. I dig that.
And then Crushing Assault is for Thunderwolf Cavalry. This one, now I can't remember if this one's like copy-paste the same, but the way it works is in your charge phase, after they finish a charge, you pick, for every Thunderwolf Cavalry model in that unit, you pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of that model, and on a 2-up, that unit takes a mortal wound. So 5 of your Thunderwolf Cavalry charge 1 unit, and all 5 are within 1 inch of that unit, so they make like a straight line charge in. You get to roll 5d6 every 2 ups of mortal wound. That can be good, but it's hard to pull that off.
It suffers from the same problem as counter charge deals with. Like the
Hunters
terrain,
Unleashed,
the open areas on tables don't seem to be that big anymore. And these are big bases.
They have big
You're getting
bases.
one
They're
or two.
What are they on, like 60s?
Those got to be 50s or 60s, yeah.
They're 60s for Thunderwolf cavalry on massive bases, so you're not going to be getting like all 6 of them like a max wise unit in there. But if you could, that's probably like 5 mortal wounds, right?
But don't get me wrong, it's not a bad. It's a good strategy.
It's not a bad. It's only 1 command point. I would use it when relevant, right?
Yep.
I'd even maybe use that if 3 guys got in to do 3 mortal wounds.
Absolutely.
1 command point for 3 mortal, like almost guaranteed 3 mortal wounds. Absolutely, it's very worth it. And then countercharge got reworked. This is the only one that I know for sure got reworked. Countercharge before used to make it so that any unit in your army could do the 6-inch hero convention in addition to your characters, and it was a very big, powerful gotcha stratagem. Now what it does is, actually it's pretty much the exact same thing. So if a unit, you do this for any unit in your army, and that unit can do a 6-inch hero convention like it could before. In fact, it's actually the exact same, but it works different because of how Hunters Unleashed works now. So instead of them heroically intervening 3 inches, they can now just heroically intervene 6 inches instead.
It's still, in my opinion, it's still really good. It's still the scariest thing that you have in your arsenal.
Yeah, I was able to use it a couple times before, in that game that we played, and it was obviously very useful, and it helped me quite a bit. And in the course of like to the end of the game, it gave me an extra round of combat with 1 unit, which is very important towards the end of the game when you think about it. I think it might have been. I'm pretty sure it was though.
It was a good game.
I still think like all of these stratagems, out of all of them, my favorites being Vicious Executioners, Countercharge, Knowledge of the Foe, Touch of the. I like them all. The only one I don't really care about is Pack Hunters. I don't run Defend Region Wolves or Cyber Wolves like whatsoever. So
I don't think anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Right. There's probably people out there that do, but for the most part, not a huge fan of that one. And now talking about stratagems we lost, I'm going to talk about the ones that I think are most impactful in the game for Spaceful players, the ones that I would utilize a lot, and the ones that you guys out there probably utilize a lot. First one, Cunning of the Wolf. This was a better strategic reserve stratagem.
Right.
So you would pick a unit. You didn't care what its power level was. You just threw it in you threw it in reserve, and it could come out on any table edge. I get why they got rid of this, because it was just strictly better than strategic reserve. But I kind of like the idea of Space Wolves having that.
Here's the thing. When the supplement comes out, I think it's very reasonable to expect that it comes back. Because when they print these index things, they're not going to give you every stratagem from
100%.
Like they're giving you get by rules. You're going to obviously have more than what's on that page.
Yes, this page here is only a placeholder until your supplement comes out. I would expect, looking at the Space Marine or the Necron Codex, maybe the supplements aren't going to get as many stratagems as like the Necrons, for example, got, because that's their whole.
That's a whole, it's a whole. Right. You still have all the stratagems.
You'll probably even get like 2 pages of stratagems, maybe 3. So we're probably talking like 12.
Hey, three. I wouldn't expect 3.
Yeah,
3's a lot.
If
you get 2 full pages, that's a lot.
You might be getting around like 16 stratagems, I guess, maybe to 20. If it's 2 pages of like 10.
The great thing and the exciting thing is this is a whole new edition, right? So it's all, they could put 3 or 4 pages if they wanted to.
I guess they could. 100%.
We've got to reset our expectations
as
here.
long as they stick with the usual pattern of bringing everything in line, like bringing like good stratagems down, bad stratagems up, and then keep them all kind of meh.
Which we've seen kind of in the Space Marine and Necron Codex. Like the really good ones kind of like brought down here, but the really bad ones like probably.
And then across the board, they're all kind of useful. Like all of these stratagems are crazy useful, except for Pack Hunters. I'm sorry.
Now, just to clarify, we're not saying Space Marines or Necrons. They're both 2 very powerful codexes right now.
Yeah. Well, as of right now, for sure. Yeah. Losing that kind of sucks. So but you still have access to strategic reserves, so it's not like a big loss. You could still do exactly what you did before and just put things. It just they can't.
Just everybody can.
Yeah. The main difference was like with the Cunning of the Wolf, you could show up on your opponent's table edge and into their deployment zone turn 2. So your opponent had to watch out for that. Whereas strategic reserves, you're not allowed to do that. You have to wait till turn 3, essentially. Lone Wolf is gone. For now, it might come back. I would like to see Lone Wolf come back. It's one of my favorite stratagems. I never got to utilize it.
It's never used. I actually know what this does.
Yeah.
Or vaguely, like a last member alive from a squad becomes a character, right?
And he gets an extra 2 wounds, and I think his attack. He gets to reroll hit and wound rolls.
I think my buddy Ben, little Ben,
right,
used it once, like 3 years ago or something like that, and like I've always remembered that's a really cool stratagem.
Right.
It's never come up since.
No, never. It's a really they become a character. That's not going to help them with Luka because they're probably already on their own. Nothing's going to be able to protect them.
As killy as was that one of the index stratagems for the Space Wolves back in 8?
No, they used to be able to.
Okay.
No, they gained True Grit, which is the Space Wolf thing where they always got to.
Rarely are you going to be left alive with 1 model. When a squad dies, they die it's overkill almost always.
Right. They lost Chooser of the Slain, but they have Auspex Scan, which is the
Which
same
got
thing. But yeah,
better.
Yeah, which is fine. Then we got Overwhelming Savagery. Thunderwolf Cavalry don't get to reroll wound rolls of 1 anymore. Going with the theme of Thunderwolf Cavalry, I'll say it right now, being a lot better now. Losing that kind of sucks, but you could just have a battle leader nearby, or Wisdom of the Ancients now got reworked, so that helps a lot there. And then True Grit's gone, which allowed you to rapid fire your... It was good for intercessors, because you used to be able to... If you got charged with intercessors, you could spend the 2 CP on rapid fire 2, and then True Grit, and 40 shots in close combat.
True Grit used to be the old 5th edition rule.
Yeah, their bolt guns became pistols.
Yeah, basically you can hold a bolt gun with one hand.
Which is that's why all the Grey Hunters, and even in 30k, you can have your Grey Slayers with a bolt gun and a close combat weapon, which is not something you can do in 30k, which is actually a really cool thing they can do. I'm a huge fan of that. But True Grit, when it came up, was a big deal. Seeking a Saga is a big hit to the Space Wolves, but this goes in line with all of the characters getting hit across the board. Seeking a Saga used to make it so your character was seeking a Saga. So they're trying to do something very heroic, which is the whole Space Wolf thing. If your character was attacking a model or unit that had a higher power rating than himself, you get to reroll all failed wound rolls. So like Ragnar going in with Frostfang, I took out a Land Raider in one swing with him before.
Right, that's a big hit.
There was one time I did like 20 damage to a knight with it, brought it down to 4 wounds.
Hey, it can still come back.
That could come back, but they're trying to really bring down how powerful Space Marine characters can be.
As we suspect, and as I think the evidence kind of pointing
The
to.
other annoying thing that Space Wolves lost is the Wolf's Eye. They used to you could spend 1 command point, and for your Long Fang units, they could reroll all hit rolls, which they didn't really need, or they could reroll all wound rolls. The Long Fangs have lost that capability.
Right. Now, again, I'm saying this not
that
for the
could
video.
come back. That
I'm
might
saying
come
this
back
for Luka. Hey, come back, buddy.
It could come back.
He's real bummed with the Long Fangs.
I am super bummed about Long Fangs. They're one of my favorite units, but luckily Blood Claws went up there. They're 2 wounds, so that's fine.
That's cool.
That helps them out quite a bit. And of course, the Astartes Chainswords. Let's not forget that.
That's true.
Blood Claws got a lot better. Long Fangs got a lot worse. I'm okay with it because it's like a net 0. So in the end, I'm happy, but a little sad because I lost a little variety. It's essentially, I'm probably never going to play Long Fangs in my list until the supplement comes out showing what Long Fangs got instead. Because they are supposed to be
discuss them when we get to them.
They're supposed to be the best Devastators, so come on.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, sir.
What's a better Devastator than a Long Fang?
I don't know, but that's not their thing, right? Okay, so some really quick lore.
Do you remember 5th edition Space Wolf? The only list for Long Fangs across but they've always been the best Devastators.
Yeah, but that's
lore-wise too. They're the most veteran Space Wolves.
Well, okay, so hold on. So, Space Wolves, real quick, you don't have to get into bigger detail. They put together, they're not codex compliant. So basically, they put together a big group of neophytes, initiates, and they're blood claws.
Yeah, that's where they start. Instead of scouts, they go to blood claws.
They're not scouts, they are blood claws. And as they get experienced and older, usually some die. They get a lot of them die. They're gray hunters. Gray hunters.
Yeah, which
that's
is
your troop choice.
Yeah.
And then as they get older and some die, they become long fangs.
Yeah.
And as they get older and some die, they become scouts.
And then there's Wolfguard after that.
And then Wolfguard. Well,
I think that's the
Wolfguard can get pulled out at any point.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
But like basically, they have a really cool lore.
Most veteran?
Usually when there's so few of them left, they're all old and grizzled and super veteran. That's why scouts have always been elite for Space Wolves.
Right.
Whereas actually now everybody's scouts are elite.
Now scouts are
That's dumb. Yeah. I really think it's dumb. I really do believe scouts should have remained core, but
only
not counted as compulsory.
You could go the Horus Heresy route. I would like to see them go the route of the old school way of like, these guys are troops, so you can only bring 1 unit of them. Remember when you could when you built your list, like you could bring these guys, they're really good, but you only had 1 unit of them. I would
argue that the Imperial Fist Devastators are the best Devastators because they can be just as old as those Long Fangs.
I suppose, yeah.
They have special rules.
Do they have special rules?
No, they have tank under stratagem.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had the Wolf's Eye stratagem, right? Reroll all wound rolls, right?
I'm just saying. You gotta speak. We're gonna argue lore for a bit. This is like who's stronger, Thing or the Hulk? Clearly, it's the Hulk. But this is like saying, okay, you get guys that specialize in combat for their entire life and then get old and pick up a heavy weapon. They're probably not the best Devastator.
But they were. They were super good though. They were.
It's true. They were dominating the meta way back.
And then they were also a pretty. They were kind of expensive. Now at 2 wounds, if they kept at the 2 wounds, that would have been nice. Anyways, the next one that I'm a little sad losing is Keen Senses. Any of your Space Wolf units, when they went to go shoot in the shooting phase, ignored all modifiers, negative modifiers.
Yeah.
That's gone. I would like to see that come back.
If you're not bringing Devastators, who cares?
Right. And then the Emperor's Executioners, that's against Thousand Suns. Don't really care about that. Honor the Chapter gone. All Space Marines lost. That's now for Assault Intercessors to fight again.
I hope the
Obviously, that's gone. That makes
Executioners
sense.
does not come back. I'm not a fan of stratagems that only work against some factions. Or some
Right. It's kind of weird. Like it was really oppressive against. Because I remember
because they typically are.
Yeah. Because like what was it? It was every hit roll 4+ against a 1,000 Sun unit was an extra attack using that same weapon. But then you paired that with. What is it? I just talked about it. It's a stratagem earlier. It is called Touch of the Wild. So every 4-up was kind of like an extra hit, but then you got to roll for an extra hit. And then if you're the Assault Doctrine, it was like a ludicrous. I remember doing like 30-something wounds to a 1,000 Sun Demon Prince with Ragnar because I'm like, whatever, I'll spend a couple command points or something fun. Guaranteed kill this guy. And it was pretty much a guaranteed kill. And then it comes to the Relics of the Fang next.
Okay, so I already know you lost the Armor of Rust.
We lost the Wolfen Stone and the Armor of Rust.
Oof,
yes,
okay.
Those are both gone.
So, okay, all right. Let's try. We can see some new relics for a bit. What do we got? Anything nice?
These are a combination of relics from. No, these are pretty much only from Saga of the Beast. We got the Mountain Breaker helmet, which is like the ram helmet. You do mortal wounds after you fight, which is okay.
You used it in our game. It's not terrible. It's not great.
The Talisman of the Storms, Rune Priest only. After resolving the first psychic power for the bear in your psychic phase, roll 1d6 for each. And I think this one's actually new. I can't remember. I never used it before, but after you cast a psychic power, if there's enemy units within 12 of you on a 4-up, they take a mortal wound.
That can be pretty good.
Worm Splitter is the upgraded Power Axe, and then we have Storm Song, which is the upgraded Stalker Bolt Rifle, and Weird Bane, which is the upgraded Runic Sword, which is Strength +1, -4 D3 damage. And then making an attack with this weapon, you can reroll the wound roll. In addition, if the target of that attack is a Psyker, it is damage 3.
Weirdly enough, my favorite one on this list is the gun, Storm Song. It's a heavy one, Strength 6, -3 damage shot.
Yeah, and it says Sniper.
And yeah.
Yeah. It just ignores Luka rules.
It doesn't really fit in with the playstyle of the army all that well.
Who takes that's a battle leader, eh? A lieutenant? Mastercraft Stalker Bolt Rifle?
I believe also I think there's a couple. I think one of the captains does as well.
So the Primaris Wolfguard battle leader that could probably take it, or the you said one of the captains maybe, a Wolflord.
No, it's Mastercraft Heavy Bolt Rifle, Primaris Captain. It's Bolt Carbine. Nope.
Right.
Is it just the one?
Maybe.
Mastercraft Bolt Gun.
When I think of Space Wolves, I don't think of like the sniper thing too much. Some people do. I typically don't go into that. That's more your thing.
I like to have the ability to threaten a character. Because I find that like a Raven Guard have one in particular that's very similar to that, or characters that are pretty good at hitting characters. But mostly I use it to remind my opponent that, remember, this guy can target the characters. Yeah. He rarely gets the shot off, but he kind of like keeps him out of a lane.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the special issue war gear that kind of
anything change here?
I don't think so. We have runic armor, which is just artificer armor.
Same,
we have adamantine armor mantle. Same. We have our special ammo, which is Mordecai's teeth bolts. Digital weapons, you can mastercraft a weapon. You have the companion blade. The only one that's kind of really unique and actually pretty good is the Wolftail Talisman, which we got to keep from Saga of the Beast. It's an aura of whenever a Psyker takes a test within 18 inches, -2 to the result. I actually like that. I've always liked that relic quite a bit. But out of all of these, typically I would always take the Armor of Rust or the Wolfen Stone from the actual Space Wolf
every
book.
Space Wolf player did.
Right, and they were just both so good. You get a 4-up invuln save, you fight something, you make something fight last automatic. The fact that it was automatically make something fight last, super big.
I don't like when one particular Warlord trait or one particular relic is so much better than everything else that you see it in every game.
I'm sad that it's gone, but I like that there's a little bit more flexibility in your relic choices now. And typically, I think I went with in the game we played, I went with the not the Helm of Durfast. That was such a bad relic, man. The Helm of Durfast I'm happy that's gone. You can re-roll failed hit rolls for this model's range attacks. In addition, enemy units never gain any bonuses to their saving throws for being in cover. What are you going to put on a character that already rolls hit rolls? The only time I seen that be kind of funny was on the character land rate, the Excelsior.
Yeah, but that was
dumb.
That thing was not match play, right?
I think it was.
I don't believe it was. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that was not.
I don't know. It was the character Land Raider. People put the Helm of Durfast on it because it would have all his guns and it would just reroll all hit rolls. It was dumb. You just kind of like you mount it on the Land Raider and then it just rerolls better. It didn't make any sense, but it was funny.
Also, no, because you couldn't take relics on vehicles.
I don't think that wasn't a thing here.
At that time?
Yeah, okay. The only stipulation was Space Wolf's character.
No, there was a rule that you couldn't take.
I don't think there was. Because,
there definitely was because the relic for the Dark Angel's Talon Master,
right?
They had to be strictly split. Like this, even though this character is a vehicle, you
right.
could take this relic.
But then there was this. You used to be able to I remember the Iron Hands Codex came out. There was one thing you could do that was kind of cool.
Well, hey, listen, honestly, 8th edition was the whack-a-mole edition.
Right, it was true. Yeah,
There's so many FAQs
something
every
pops
other
up.
week.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it for the relics, and then this will bring us to the. You know what? Did we not talk about warlord traits? Where are they at? Are they before?
I actually didn't see him.
Oh, that's right. Because you lose your warlord traits. That's what it is. So the sagas, the specific cool Space Wolf sagas where you would...
That's completely fine. Sagas are gone. They're going to come out.
They're going to come back. The sagas are probably going to come back, I would hope, because I thought it was a really unique rule for the Space Wolves.
The fact that we don't see any in here as get you by sagas tells me that most likely it's going to get completely reworked.
Right. So what it is now is you just use the Warlord trait for Space Wolves out of the Space Marine book if you have a named character that's your Warlord. So like Ragnar has to use, I believe it's called the Beast Slayer Warlord trait, which is +1 attack and +1 to wound against enemy vehicles and monsters when you go to fight them in the fight phase. Or if you're just bringing a Wolf Lord or a battle leader unnamed, you can just take either that or one of the generic Space Marine Warlord traits. That's what you have to do.
Shouldn't be asking this question while we're doing a review. Do you know offhand if there's some sort of hierarchy in the Space Marine Codex? Basically what I'm saying is, in the game that we played, I had Azrael, the Chapter Master of Dark Angels, on the list. I made him my Warlord.
Right.
I feel like he should be. Did I have to?
No, you don't. No. That's only for Necron so far.
That is it.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen that have been a hierarchy thing as well. If you bring a Chapter Master, he should be in charge.
Like the old fantasy rule, like your highest leaders. Like so, Necrons have a hierarchy rule. If you have the Silent King, must be your Warlord. Failing that, if you have a Pharaon of a dynasty, they have to be your Warlord. And then failing that, Overlord, then Lord, and then you can make whoever you want to be your Warlord. Because Necrons do typically have the dynastic hierarchy. Right. In here, the Space Marines can be a little more flexible, right? But they do have the chapter command or company where you're only allowed to have like one captain and 2 lieutenants, but you can have a chapter master thrown in there if you really want to. So there's that limitation, I suppose, and that is still relevant for Space Wolves. You can have Logan Grimnar in your list, and like 2 battle leaders, or like a captain and Logan and a couple battle leaders.
I say Logan Grimnar. He is the chapter master of the Space Wolves.
Yeah, he's that old wolf. He's still here. The relics, like I said, they're all gone. Oh, I did want to talk about the datasheet rules though, because those have been cleaned up, nerfed, or changed. So, like Blood Claws and Swift Claws and Sky Claws, they were the Blood Claws, the first initiates into the Space Wolves, and they were kind of the scout equivalent, but put in power armor, but they only had a BS of 4+. I want to say that they've all gone to 3+ now, for whatever reason.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, that's one of the changes. So any of your Blood Claw units that I just mentioned are all ballistic skill 3+ now, which is nice.
Well, okay, to be fair, again, this is more of a backstory. Way back when scouts...
They were BS 4+.
Yes. Yeah. The lowest level of Space Marine scouts or the Blood Claws were skill 4+.
But then scouts went up in 7th edition.
I think it was 7th edition for sure.
And then Blood Claws never did. It took 2 editions later for Blood Claws to get it. So
this was a change in a long time. It was a long time coming.
Yeah, it was.
It should have been a long time ago.
Absolutely. So, but what I guess my follow-up on that was they always had a rule called Berserk Charge and Headstrong. Headstrong being that you would always have to declare a charge against the closest eligible target.
I like this.
Unless you added a Wolf Guard to the unit. Now, instead of that being on those units, they just kind of made it an ability on the data sheet. So if you go to your Blood Claws, it'll just say Headstrong.
You might as well just remove this ability, because you're always going to have a Wolf Guard.
Right.
He's always going to die last. There's no reason to ever not. Like, you might as well just remove the ability.
Right. Now, this is technically a nerf to the ability because this ability is fundamentally the same. They just cleaned up how it's put on data sheets to make it so your data sheets are cleaner, and you can just reference the data sheet rule page. Now we have Berserk Charge, which was for all those Blood Claw units. If they charged, their unit would get +1 attack. This used to work on the Wolf Guard because you'd just be part of the unit.
Right.
Now it specifically says, and because they identify the keywords differently on the things you add to your unit, this does not work for the Wolf Guard in the unit. So only the Blood Claws get the extra attack.
Which is a little clunky. Not that bad, but...
It works. It makes sense why it is this way. The Wolf Guard's calm. He knows the It's just, the Blood Cloud's a little more savage. They want to prove themselves and all that stuff. Now, but the newest one is Swift Hunters. This is new for the Space Wolves. This is a nice change for them. Any unit with this ability is eligible to declare a charge, even if it advanced this turn. In addition, they get to pile in or consolidate 4, an additional 1 inch. So if for whatever reason they're doing more than, typically 4, but if you're using countercharge and you have the Swift Hunter rule, you actually get to consolidate you get to pile in up to, I guess no, it's not Hero Convention, it's only Consolidator pile in. So you pretty much get to pile in 4, consolidate 4.
Which,
how
many times have we just made the objective, or we're just trying to objective?
Right, yeah. So that second part's going to be kind of hard to remember. The first one's super easy. I get to advance in charge of these units now. Now, all the units that gained Swift Hunters is any unit that had Thunderwolf attached to it. So a Wolflord on a Thunderwolf, a Battle Leader on a Thunderwolf, Thunderwolf Cavalry. Any of the smaller wolves, like Fenrisian wolves and Cyber wolves, can have it now. Logan Grimnar on Storm Rider, because he's got the 2 Thunderwolves, has Swift Hunters now too. And that's all I can think of off the top of my mind, top of my head, without looking at all the data sheets. But that is a nice and welcome change, especially for the Thunderwolf Cavalry, because we're going to be comparing them to a couple of other units, and I think the Thunderwolf Cavalry fit a very nice niche for the Space Wolves now.
If you bought Thunderwolf Cavalry for previous editions, you're going to be using them again.
Yeah, I think Thunderwolf Cavalry are going to fit into a lot of Space Wolf lists. I would imagine. I could be wrong, but in the game we played, I had great success with them. And even the ability to, they have a 10-inch move, right? And that ability to advance and charge is a big deal. We'll talk about the Chapter Master, Logan Grimnar, right? How did he change the Chapter Master rule change? He's not the High King of... Oh, sorry. He also lost the High King of Fenris rule, which makes it so Wolfguard units don't have to take morale checks with him anymore.
Okay.
But, I mean, they had leadership aid anyways, whatever. Right. They got rid of his immune morale.
With the change to Angels of Death or the initial Null Fear.
So getting rid of that. They want Space Marines to take morale checks, obviously, so they got rid of the High King of Fenris. Instead of being the Great Wolf, it's the Chapter Master rule now, so you either pick a character or a unit to reroll all hit rolls.
All the rules you'd expect.
Yeah, but he gains the rights of battle, which is the Wolflord rule, where they get to reroll hit rolls 1, so that's going compliant with all other Chapter Masters across the board. Other than the fact that I do like my Chapter Masters to have a unique rule, like Shrike's got a cool rule, or like Pedro Cantor has a cool rule. For now, I think he still has that.
Shrike's cool rule are we talking about?
He gets to, does he make salt jump guys around him?
You're right.
This guy used to make Wolfguard, because you typically want to bring a lot of Wolfguard
this may be a dumb question, but why is he on the chariot?
Why is he not? It's on the next page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you still have Logan Grimnar on chariot, off chariot. Fundamentally the exact same profile across the board, but his weapon got reworked, the Axe of Morkai. So it's his axe, he either fights with a two-handed or one-handed. The one-handed profile, it is still +2 strength, -3, but it's not D3 damage anymore. Instead, they made it so you double your attacks with it. Every time you fight with this...
I think it's 5 attacks base, right?
Yeah, you make 2 attacks with this instead of 1. So on the charge, in the first round of combat, he actually gets 12 attacks at strength 6 -3. Mm-hmm. That is way better than the 1d3 damage attack. And then the two-handed variant used to be the other option that would do flat 3 damage. It'd be strength 8, but it'd be -1 to hit. It is no longer -1 to hit.
Right. This is ×2, -3, 3 damage.
The Axe of Morkai got way better. He lost the High King of Fenris rule. Whatever.
He has 7 wounds on this profile.
He always has 7. He's a tough old man.
Okay.
He's a tough old man we're talking. This is Logan Grimnar we're talking about. This guy has been around for a while. He's seen a few moons. And then on Storm Rider, pretty much the exact same. Actually, no, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I think he lost the Alpha Predator, where he gets to reroll charge rolls. That's right. And obviously, he kept the Great Wolf. High King of Fenris is gone, and his Chapter Master rule is still there. Yeah, so he kind of lost a little bit of that old, the Chapter Master flavor, but his axe got better. So there's that. Aryak Rockfist took a hit. He's still got the champion of the King Guard rule, but he no longer gives Wolfguard units an extra attack.
Okay.
Which is why. Why did he lose that? Oh, and Thane of the High King, which is the old Wolfguard battle leader rule, which is reroll wound rolls of 1, went to Precision Strikes, which is just the Lieutenant rule, which is just reroll wound rolls of 1. So they're keeping that kind of... They're in 8th edition, they used to have a lot of different names for the exact same rule. They're bringing back universal special rules now, which is clean. I'm fine with it. It's all good. Happy to have it. Why not? Next, we're going to cover some of the name characters. I got the major changes. Not all of them. There's no reason to go over all of them. At least the ones that I noticed. Or the ones that I use typically, so I'm a little more experienced with them. Bjorn, the Fell-Handed. Still super cool. Love him. His stat line's still the same. What he can take is kind of still the same. Except I don't think he can take the health. Oh, he can still take the health frost cannon. Okay, so he's got Duty Eternal now, which is what you'd absolutely expect. That stratagem is gone. Now, all Space Marine Dreadnoughts, as far as we can tell, reduce the amount of damage they take from attacks by 1 to a minimum 1. Absolutely crazy good change for Dreadnoughts. Super happy habit. You never have to feel guilty bringing a Dreadnought to a game like, oh, I'm playing down. No, Dreadnoughts are awesome. They can stick around for a long time. Specifically, the Space Wolf ones. We'll go into detail about that.
So he has the rights of a battle without having the captain keyword?
He always had that.
Okay.
He always let Space Wolves reroll ones around him. But so he keeps rights of battle. He's not core, obviously, being a character. So he himself doesn't get to benefit from that anymore. And he kept the legendary tenacity rule, which allows him to ignore wounds on a 5-up, which is great. Except he lost the... so his last company of Russ was the rights of battle rule. It just got renamed.
Reworded.
He lost Ancient Tactician, though. He does no longer give you a command point. He used to just give you a command point if you brought Bjorn, which is nice.
Okay, well, that's all right.
It's whatever. You lost it. I didn't mention the game we played because I forgot to. But
it's toughness 8.
Yeah, he's T8. He's a thick boy.
You know the best part about the best upgrade he got?
-1 damage.
Okay, well, sorry. The best upgrade he got is Duty Eternal. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The second best, he got the smokescreen keyword.
Yes, he does have the smokescreen keyword. I actually kind of forgot about that. Yeah, he's got the smokescreen. So for 1 command point, he can launch his smoke launchers. Like every turn, essentially, when he's shot at for -1 to hit.
-1 to hit, yeah.
I guess the Venerable Dreads would have had that too. I never utilized that in a game, but I didn't need to, honestly, because they were just super great. They were just
they're not killable.
super great. So yeah, Ariak Rockfist took the hit. Oric the Slayer got reworked a wee bit. Instead of his Slayer Oath unlocking a +1 to wound rolls for Space Wolf units around him, if Oric the Slayer if an enemy character or monster is destroyed by an attack made by this model. Okay, so he still has to kill them. He automatically passes all litanies for the rest of the game.
Okay.
That's his thing now. But he used to...
I don't like litanies you have to roll. I hate the fact you have to roll for them.
Right. But he's the Master of Sanctity for the Space Wolves. He knows the Litany of Hate and 2 other litanies from the Space Marine Codex in your command phase. If he's on the battlefield, he can recite 2 litanies it knows that have not already been recited by friendly models that battle round, and on a 3-up, they are inspiring. Now, if he kills a monster or hero, which he's pretty good in combat, he's very capable of doing that, he automatically issues out all litanies. He used to, on the other hand, give out a +1 to wound aura to all Space Wolves within 6.
Ooh, that's really good.
That was really good.
That's gone then.
Yeah, that was... It didn't come up a lot, but when it did, boy howdy.
Yeah.
Man, was that really... And he lost... this is what I'm confused about. And Wolf Priest in general, I'm pretty sure I lost this. Let me just... see if I can find a Wolf Priest, because I don't even think a Wolf Priest is listed here anymore now that I think about it. I don't think we get our Wolf Priest anymore, folks. So you're pretty much
Really?
I think you're only bringing Oric the Slayer, unless you want to look for me in the Space Marine book and go to
yeah, you know what, I bet you that's what it is.
And see if you can find Wolf Priest for me in there. But yeah, we lost generic Wolf Priest, we kept Oric the Slayer, he lost Healing Bombs though. So no longer is...
Again, that's kind of expected, because you're going to see all your special stuff in yourself.
I want to see... So that was the unique thing for Space Wolves. My favorite thing about Space Wolves was how they didn't comply to the Codex Astartes stuff.
Yeah,
right?
You have all your Wolf Priests.
Okay.
So if you Chapman out of the book, they gain the Wolf Priest keyword.
Okay, but they don't have healing.
No.
Yeah, okay. No. So no longer are our Wolf Priests
also
an apothecary.
Yeah. Which is fine. Because again, your supplement's gonna come out.
Right.
And also you can take apothecaries, right?
Yeah, but the idea was you just take 1 character and fill both slots, essentially. That was their special thing, right? Yeah, that was their thing.
Back in the day, though, it's a different game from back then. Like you want them to be separate right now.
But like the whole Space Wolf thing was they're supposed to have these weird unique.
Maybe
we'll keep it. Maybe we'll keep it. Yeah. And then like Harold Deathwolf, Canis Wolfborn, they all kind of changed a little bit here and there. Ragnar himself changed up in the form that he's not core, obviously, but I'm pretty sure the rest of his stuff fundamentally stayed the same. Like Ragnar's still really
can't see changing him. He's just so new. Right?
Like he just kind of came out. He's still kind of new. I'm trying to find him here. I'm doing a big struggle though. Bjorn.
He's near the top.
Ragnar, there he is. Okay, so his Warhowl still works the same. It's only for core, obviously. All of his auras, core only, rites of battle. Berserk Rage, still the same. Battle Lust, core only. Actually, no, Battle Lust actually got better because I'm pretty sure Battle Lust said if you're not within 3 inches of an enemy, you get to consolidate 6 inches instead after attacking. This one is just, you always consolidate an additional 3 no matter where you are.
That is so good.
So that is a nice change to his battle loss ability. It's just cleaner. You don't have to worry about the other effect of it. And then there's Crom Dragon Rays, Herald, Deathwolf, Canis Wolf, Bard, and all them, but they're pretty much fundamentally the same. The next data sheet that is important to talk about. We'll talk about Blood Claws. We pretty much mostly covered Blood Claw stuff in the meantime. Went up to 2 wounds. They got BS3 plus. Their leadership stayed the same, so you still have 7 on your Blood Claw pack leader. But if you have a Wolf Guard, you're up to leadership 8. And they have Headstrong, Berserk, Charge. They work the exact same, except they now have Astartes Chainswords.
Huge buff.
Which is so good. But I don't know if it's going to be worth bringing Plasma Pistols on them now, but you could before. I never did, because whatever, I don't want to pay the points for it.
450, yeah.
And then they only have 1 wound each. So typically my Blood Claws with Chainswords die first, and I keep the pack leader and then the Wolf Guard last. Now they have 2 wounds each, and they have a better Blitz skill. Are you guys going to be bringing Plasma Pistols on yours? I'll try it out. I'll give it a shot. You never know. Make them a little bit more killy on the approach end, but they're already pretty killy. So
strangely enough,
they went up to 18 points a model, but that's expected.
That's expected.
So yeah,
unintentionally or intentionally, I'm not even sure anymore. Almost every weapon I brought into the game in our bat rep was multiple damage, right?
Right.
So these Blood Claws are going to die just as fast. It feels like so far the Space Marine and
Xenos, against Xeno stuff, it's going to be more. The 2 wounds are going to be more relevant. But in this game,
for now,
right?
For now, yeah.
But in this game, I played against Dark Angel Deathwing, and they're all power weapons in close combat. So it's all minimum chain fit.
I had a power sword, and everything else was more than 1 damage.
The only time it really matters when you shot an assault cannon from a Land Raider or Storm Bolters at my unit. That's great. That's where it's going to shine. Like Storm Bolter fire, Bolter fire,
which is good.
Half as
weapons
that
are multiple damage are meant to kill things, and then Space Marines should be shrugging off bolt gun shots.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because oftentimes in the books it's just you'll hear a guy unloading an entire magazine of a bolt around into a Space Marine and just does
nothing.
You typically want to keep hitting the same spot until it chips away at the Ceramite, then it finally gets them. Right? That's typically how you kill Space Marine with a bolt gun. You just keep shooting at the same spot until it eventually gets to the Ceramite. Grey Hunters went up a wound. Right? They can still.
Okay, so you can't just gloss over this. Why do I never see Grey Hunters on the table?
Well,
this is wrong. This is the core of the Space Wolves. When the supplement comes out, they got to address this. So they're just never brought.
There's nothing wrong with Grey Hunters. I don't think there's anything wrong. I just prefer Blood Claws because
every space okay. So
do you want to know what the main difference?
I already know because what I just said. There's gonna be a bunch of comments saying I always bring them, but we over the years we played people from pretty much literally all over the world.
Right.
Space Wolf players, I think it's a pretty safe statement to say, generally don't bring Grey Hunters in 8th edition. 9th edition, we only had a few games so far. Well, I have lots, but and even in 7th edition.
They pretty much stayed the exact same, other than going up a 2nd wound. Now, I have no problem with Grey Hunter. I call them Grey Slayers because that's what they're called in 30K. Grey Hunters, because they are pretty much, in my opinion, they're actually just better Blood Claws.
So why not bring them?
I just like that Blood Claws got an extra attack on the charge. No, they're about the same. Blood Claws just got an extra attack on the charge. These guys can all take chainswords too.
As well as the bolt gun?
Yeah. That's like.
So what's the squad going to cost you for a squad of Grey Hunters with chainswords and bolt guns as opposed to Blood Claws?
I got the points right here. So and they were a better BS too, and they could take special weapons. They could take plasma guns and melta guns and all that stuff, right? So let's not forget that. I just liked Blood Claws more because I thought I only ran them because I thought they were cool. I never ran them because I thought they were better. Let's put that down there, right? 18 points a model for a Blood Claw, 18 points a model for a Grey Hunter. The only difference is the Blood Claws get an extra attack on the charge, whereas Grey Hunters have a better range weapon, and they have better range weapons.
So that's kind of a that's
a preference thing.
It's kind of in my opinion, that's kind of a flaw in the design of this because. Right. If you play Space Wolves, typically, this is very broad strokes, again, they're going to be outliers. Typically, you want close combat.
Right.
You want to charge, you want to get to do that wolf thing. So the Blood Claws will always be better than Grey Hunters.
Well, I mean, Grey Hunters also had, you could also argue that Grey Hunters had access to True Grit with bolt guns. 10 of them could charge in, and if they didn't kill whatever, they just True Grit with their bolt guns down anything they were in combat with. I actually think Grey Hunters were straight up better than Blood Claws, but I always preferred that. I cared more about close combat, so therefore I'll gravitate more towards Blood Claws.
Okay. Yeah, I just whatever your reason is.
Right. I'm going to bring them more now. I'm going to bring them more now because they have 2 wounds. I'm going to maybe try out the more shooting. Astartes Chainswords are awesome.
This is more of a...
I'll wait till True Grit comes out again, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Games Workshop needs to make Grey Hunters a little bit more appealing. That's all.
Are you more appealed by Blood Claws as well, just because the extra attack on the charge?
I don't care. 'Cause I'm not a big fan.
Right.
I don't hate Space Wolves. I don't think I'm ever going to play them. It's just I like when armies at least somewhat follow the lore. Now, you can argue that you see a lot of Blood Claws in the field because you need to battle test them, but the Grey Hunters are the core of the Space Wolves. Right?
True, yeah. Like typically you'd have like, I think in a traditional like narrative Space Wolf list, you'd have an absolute giant squad of Blood Claws or a couple of small squad of Blood Claws, and then there would always be Grey Hunters there too.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Because I also love to see armies that specialize in a theme or something. So like an army of like pure scouts because they're being trained up.
Right.
It just seems that every Space Wolf list I play against is a Blood Claw theme, and then the long things, but that's a whole different thing.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to find, because I think Luka's the Trickster changed a little bit here.
Yeah, actually, I was reading him.
Because he now gives your units a -1 to their...
He is right underneath Wolfguard. Oh, you're looking for him in there?
Yeah, I'm looking for him in here.
He's in the troop choice section.
There he is. He's elites.
No, he's elite.
Yeah. What is this rule here? Rebellious Presence is new.
you're right.
So he's got a new rule called Rebellious Presence. While another friendly Space Wolf unit is within 3 inches of this model, -1 leadership of models in that unit. Yeah, so he reduces your own model's leadership by 1 because he's got Rebellious Presence. He still has the last laugh, which still works the same way. Pelt of the Doppelganger. It was reworked. It used to be -1 to hit him. And now it is, you can only ever hit Lucas the Trickster on a 4-up. Unmodified hit rolls of 1, 2, and 3 always fail against him. And he's got the Master of Mischief. He can never be a Warlord. And he's got the Plasma Pistol. He's got the Claws of the Jackal Wolf, which are the exact same. Except he doesn't give an extra attack. But I guess that's built into his profile. Oh, no, he does get an extra attack. He's got 5 attacks. The old one had 4.
So it's built into his profile.
Because Lightning Claws now give 2 extra attacks if you have a pair
One
of them.
attack per lightning claw.
Which is super
One
good.
additional attack per
So I was hoping
lightning
with the Claws of the Jackal Wolf, maybe he gets an extra attack. He actually does. He has 5 attacks on his profile. And that should be it for... Then you have your Terminators who went up to 3 wounds. That's a given. Now we're on to the Wolfen.
Okay.
I think we're both on the same mindset of Wolfen, and I hate to say it, but they're kind of bad.
Okay, I'm not willing to say they're bad yet.
Not yet.
But I get where you're coming from. I feel for you. They seem to be hit a lot.
Yep.
Okay, first of all, we gotta just point out the fact that...
What role do they fill? I only
What
really,
role fills the question?
I only see them in one potential role. Like, you can't even risk putting them into... You have to put them in strategic reserve now. You can't do kind of the Wolf anymore. So you're... For one squad of 5 Wolfen, you're only paying 1 command point, which is nice. 2 squads, 2. So that's exactly how it was before. But now they can't show up in your enemy's deployment zone anymore.
Big deal.
There's that.
But that's more of a mechanical change.
Yes, that's to the army as a whole. Now, the Wolfen, I used to play them as a frontline shock troop. They advance and they charge at your opponent, and as soon as they can, a couple storm shields, a couple thunderhammers in unit, and then maybe great, what are they called? They are called great frost axes. So that's,
they were just survivable enough to draw firepower in a lot
right,
of it.
and I never minded if they got shot at because they had Death Frenzy, which was a 5 up 2 wounds, and then if you had the point, you could hit them all out with thunderhammers and charge shields, which wasn't that bad because they had Hunters Unleashed, so they'd hit on 3 still, and they just... Your opponent's just sweating as they watch this absolutely murderous unit charging at them, going to kill anything it touches. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. They do not... Death Frenzy completely...
Well, let's talk about their stat line first. Okay. From the beginning.
We'll go for the positive one. The stat lines did get all positive changes. They went up 1 movement.
That's fair.
Their movement 8 instead of 7.
Nice.
Their web skill stayed the same. They are now toughness 5 instead of toughness 4.
Yes. Now...
That does help.
I kind of personally would expect them to have gotten 3 wounds.
They did not.
They did not.
They were at 2 wounds. I expect them to go to 3 wounds for sure, yeah.
Toughness 5 and movement 8 buffs. Okay, so we have some good things right away.
Yep.
Toughness 5 is a big deal.
Attack stayed the same too.
Yeah, which is also just 2, right?
Kind of
it's 3, okay.
Yeah.
And it's the 4 save. Okay, so stat line. Good. What's next?
Overall, okay. Weapon options, funny enough, still the same. Anyone out there who's been greatly frustrated with the fact that the pack leader always has to take the Frost Claws, he still has to take the Frost Claws.
That's really dumb.
For whatever reason, he still has to take the Wolfen Frost Claws, and then they all come stock with their Wolfen Claws. Then you can upgrade them to have Thunderhammer Storm Shield for 16 points, a Great Frost Axe for 8 points, or the Frost Claws for 5 points. So the Frost Claws being the cheapest option. But I'm a little disappointed with the Frost Claws. They only give you 1 additional attack still.
Right, they're not lightning claws.
It's because you can only take 1 of them, so it's not. And they're Wolfen Frost Claws. You don't take a pair of them. They should have. I think they should have been brought up to 2 each, and then still stay at 5 points, and that would have been nice. Obviously, the Storm Shield change is the same for them. They only go to a 3-up armor save with the Storm Shield because they've kept their 4-up. Now, if they went to a 3-up save, I wouldn't be as upset with the overall change to them. I'm not like fuming here. Wolfen weren't my favorite. I liked Wolfen for the role they filled.
Right.
I typically prefer traditional Marine Space Wolves, Thunderwolf Cavalry, Wolfen, all that weird stuff. They fill
those of you who kept them in transport,
I think that's the role
you're still fine.
I think you're fine.
But if you ran them as a pure psychological right in the face of your opponent, you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, that is not the role they fill. So Storm Shield 4-up and Vulnerable Save, that's not going to keep them going. I don't really think it will. It's for the points you're paying for that, because it's 41 points a model with a Storm Shield Thunderhammer.
It's 16 points for the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, right?
It's pretty pricey, yeah.
So, okay, basically, they lost their Feel No Pain.
That's gone. They lost it.
In exchange for Toughness 5.
Yep, that is not
the 3-up Invuln is a loss of that's a big hit.
Yeah.
But if they all have Storm Shields, they're 3-up save.
Yeah.
Now, 10 wounds with a 3-up save and Toughness 5 isn't bad.
Right.
But what are you paying for that?
41 points a model.
So
It's over it's 205 points.
205 points.
Yeah. It's a little cheaper than it was before, too.
Now, their killing output is not as good, but it's still very good. For their damage output,
Yeah.
it was better before.
I know.
Because when they die, they're going to fight again.
That's right. So Death Frenzy is the next thing. They would fight, die, and then fight. That was their thing.
But they always killed everything.
They always killed. If they charged, they killed their target. And if they didn't, well, they would then kill it when they die. Now Death Frenzy only works if they did not fight. That's a huge hit.
So they were frustrating to charge and try to kill them in combat.
Because it's a trade.
They were frustrating to shoot because it was 3-up, 5-up, 3-up, 5-up.
Yep.
And they killed anything they got in close combat with. But I don't think you can find anybody to say that they were overpowered.
No, they were. I think they were.
They were good.
They were appropriately costed.
They were good.
They were good, and they filled a very nice role in the army.
They weren't like bring 3 of these units and you win, auto win. It's not.
Right.
They were never that.
But typically, a lot of lists had them in
They
them.
took a lot of hits. Now, do they fit in the overall balance? Maybe. I think we have to play with them a lot more to see how they fit overall. But you can clearly see the nerfs they took.
Right, and
another unfortunate.
Yeah, the other massive nerf. No, they do not advance in charge anymore.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, you're right.
That's a pretty bad hit. Yeah, they did not gain the Swift Hunter rule, folks, and their Curse of the Wolfen hunt ability is gone. They don't have. So here's the other kicker. They used to have Curse of the Wolfen hunt, Curse of the Wolfen kill. Curse of the Wolfen hunt said that they themselves get to reroll charge rolls. And then units within 6 get to reroll charge rolls, and then Blood Claws within 12 got to reroll charge rolls because the Blood Claws were inspired by the Wolfen. And sure, they kept that ability. That's still the same. Curse of the Wolfen kill said that Space Wolves within 6 or Blood Claws within 12 got an extra attack if they didn't charge this turn, essentially near the Wolfen. Curse of the Wolfen kill is gone. They do not give an extra attack out anymore.
I think this is a rope-a-dope.
Rope-a-dope.
I think when the book comes out, they're going to be tweaked, but they're going to be better than that.
Right. And they also do not. They used to have Bounding Lope, I believe it was called. Yeah, this model can advance and choke. Yeah, so they do not have Bounding Lope anymore. They cannot advance and charge. They do not have the Swift Hunter rule either. They only have Angel of Death.
They're still very playable. The problem is they lost some of their damage output, but they always had overkill. So they're still very good for killing. They lost their survivability from firepower. Now, remember we talked about terrain being a little more dense?
Yeah.
They're going to be able to hide more. Like I think you can put Terminators on the table and walk up the field.
Right.
On terrain.
It's
you
true.
guys have 8-inch move. You can probably run from cover to cover.
You could. Yeah. There's always that argument.
They're not done. They're played differently. They're less
sneaky with them.
They're less of a mindless missile you throw at your opponent.
That was 100% their role. You would pick a target, advance towards it, and then imagine that target is now dead.
Which is probably a healthier thing for the game overall.
True. Yeah, that's why I'm not overly upset with this. They were not fun to play against.
I'm not a gambling man, but I am. I will bet that when the supplement comes out, you're going to see, okay, they gained this, and this, or the book overall gives them I wouldn't be worried if you have a bunch of these things. I think they're very playable, and I still think they'll get better in the book. I just have this strong feeling.
Yep.
So yeah, they got a hit, but not that bad. It's okay. It's okay.
There is a couple other changes on them that help them out a little bit, though.
What?
The Savage Killers never had that before. They gained that.
What was that one?
This is so there's one more nerf to the unit, which it's kind of a joke nerf. It doesn't really matter. It does in some cases because of the role with the Wolfen played before.
Right, yeah.
So Savage Killers, this unit is all. I don't know why they bothered. They didn't need to give this rule to them at all. I guess no, they did. Okay. Each time you make an attack with this model, if you benefit from the Combat Doctrine ability, you always count as being the Assault Doctrine with this unit, no matter what. So they are going to be an additional IP on their attacks, and they are going to explode hits on 6s to hit. So every 6 hit is 2 hits.
Yeah.
Turn 1, turn 2, and then eventually
That's
when
cool.
you're actually
I
that is
love
cool.
that.
So they are more killy in this regard. In addition, they always count as being affected by Shock Assault. So they always have one more attack on their profile. But okay, that doesn't matter because that sounds nice. The Assault Doctrine thing is nice, but the Shock Assault thing is kind of pointless because no matter what, they're going to kill whatever they charge.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're never in prolonged combat.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe they got charged by 4 units and they can only kill 3 of them.
Sure, yeah, exactly. There's that. And then the next turn, like, sure, wish I had that extra attack for Shock Assault. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. I'm still super
You
killing.
might as well have just given them 4 attacks on the profile and said they never benefit from Shock Assault.
That's the exact same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, there is one more thing about these things I think is worth talking about. Games Workshop, come on, man, get on this. The Wolfen, the return of the Wolfen, the arrival of the Wolfen herald the time of the wolf, the wolf time.
The wolf times.
And the wolf times was the heralding of the return of the wolf, the Rus.
The Roos.
The Roos.
Bring back the Roos.
These models have been out for how many years now?
About 3.5, 4 years.
At least that, yeah.
We're nearing on 4. Oh,
How long is the wolf time, Luka? It's been 10,000 years. No, 1,000 years.
It might be nearing on 4 years, a little bit over 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
either way, come on.
Yeah, bring back the. Oh, I would
Give
love
us a prime mark, let's go.
The Himmer line. Like I have my suspicions that I would like to see the line come out this Christmas. I'm going to say this Christmas. Just kind of randomly. I'm
not even going to go.
I'm randomly throwing that out there.
I would love that.
Okay, but the other, so the Savage Killers, again, sure, being Assault Doctrine is nice. Never once did I bring Wolfen into a game and said, I sure wish this unit was more killy. Never once have I ever said, oh shucks, I can't believe they didn't kill that unit, unless it's a complete whiff, which Savage Killers would not help whatsoever. A complete whiff being, I miss everything, failed to wound everything. That has never been the case. Why did they take away my incredible durability and mobility and then say, oh, here's more killy stuff though? We didn't need it. Why? They also have Bestial Rage now as a rule. These guys can't do actions.
Oh, we got to move on because this video is already twice as long as we expected.
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
So and then you come to the Wolfen Dreadnought. You kind of see the same thing. Bestial Rage, Murderfang, Bestial Rage. Any Dreadnoughts have unyielding Duty Eternal.
Nothing changing on Murderfang? Worth noting?
I think like Murderfang here, Murderlust. I think there was something. Murder Maker. Yeah, so Murder Maker. Mermaider. All right.
Mermaider.
So instead of getting an extra 2 attacks on the charge, instead of increasing his attacks by 2 on the charge, he gets that 3 instead of 1 for Shock Assault. Duty Eternal, he can't be your Warlord, Bestial Rage. Nope, he's pretty much the same. His Murder Claws are the same.
Okay.
Yeah, except he doesn't get an extra attack for having 2 of them. Boo. Unless that's
They got to reprint these things so that you can use them, right? Because they invalidated your book.
Yeah, exactly. Now the next big thing to talk about is Thunderwolf Cavalry.
The second I saw these, I'm like, wait a second. These are nice buffs because all of 8th edition, the Thunderwolf Cavalry were just lackluster, just uninteresting.
So these bad boys, the profile stayed the same except for one very important
key change.
4 wounds. Now you might be thinking, so what? Who cares?
Oh,
4 wounds is such a big change from 3.
Huge deal. Like,
Thunderhammers don't kill them in 1 hit anymore. It takes 2 Thunderhammers to kill them. Overcharge like 3 damage plasma, all that stuff. It takes like any 3 damage weapon, it takes 2 hits to kill them. Now 3 damage weapons were their bane.
Yeah.
2 damage weapons still kill them in 2 hits. That's fine.
Whatever, yeah.
But the fact that 3 damage weapons take 2 hits to kill them now is huge. And obviously takes 4 1 damage shots to kill them instead of 3 1 damage shots.
Well, las cannons just they're only half time to
now las cannons on average do not kill a Thunderwolf Cavalry because they do 3.5 damage on average.
Now here's that's the best thing on their profile for sure. The second best thing were just core changes to the Storm Shield.
Yes. 2 upstate. Their T5 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable save.
You would always take a storm shield from these guys.
100%.
Honestly, it's
100%.
like you take a storm shield.
They run up. These guys now fill the role for the Wolfen for me.
Yes.
So
these are now your mindless missile.
These are the guys that run up in the middle. They're going to hold the middle at T5, 4 wounds, 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable save, and they're going to fight. They're all Wolfguard too, so they can use vicious executioners in combat, and then they're crushing teeth and claw attacks and go up to 2 damage if you want to, which are actually AP2 now instead of AP1. So any unit that had Thunderwolf before, it was pretty much 3 heavy bolter shots.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like that for a command point, but it's better AP. So it's AP2 2 damage for 1 command point, or AP2 1 damage.
Is it? Yeah, it's 2 damage, right?
It's 2 damage for 1 command point.
Oh, okay.
For 1 command point, yeah. But it's AP2, AP3 in the Assault Doctrine. Absolutely wild. Love it. And the best part, they're on Thunderwolf Cavalry. They can advance and charge now.
Yes. Like, the 10-inch move is not the fastest, but it's not slow.
No, especially in the fact that they typically are going to move 13 and a half inches, technically not the half, but 13 to 14 inches a turn.
But 4 wounds with
And
toughness
charging.
5 and a 2-up armor save.
Yep.
I mean, like, honestly, this is everything the Wolfen were.
Right.
Now,
these are ideal. Like, I don't typically like if I could, I would lose a lot more if I did it, but I would love to run the list. I would like just big squads of Blood Claws and then Grey Hunters to back them up and like
minimizing spoilers. The first, like, I got into combat with these guys. The very first round I got into combat with these guys, I put a lot into them, and Luka just rolled 4-ups, 4-up invulnerable, 4-up invulnerable. I mean, anytime you have a 4-up invuln, you always have that opportunity, that potential of just tanking everything. And then the return is just.
Which is kind of goes against what we were saying about the Wolfen with their 4-up invulnerable save, but it's just.
Okay, but it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
So when the Wolfen fail a 4-up invuln,
They only have 2 wounds or dead.
it's only 2 wounds, right?
Yes. These guys have 4.
Yeah.
That's a wild amount of wounds. And that's like, typically, like, that's all we have to really talk about the Thunderwolf
Actually, no,
Cavalry.
there's one more thing that's actually worth talking. We haven't discussed this yet, but there's one more thing we're talking about the Thunderwolf Cavalry will make them particularly good in 9th. So their big base means they're probably not going to get that mortal wound charge off that often.
But more of them can attack from behind them.
There's that too.
Yeah.
But what a large base is really good for doing is blocking off an area of an objective.
Yes.
They can charge past an objective. You can shoot them all, kill them, or charge them all, and kill them all, and you almost certainly kept that opponent from piling into the objective.
Yeah, because you have exactly that.
So the downside of the terrain, moving whatever, but the plus side is the narrower lanes. You can block off entire lanes with
you
these
can block
models.
off a huge section of area.
Big base is a good thing.
And then that's like I'm just overall really happy with them in general.
That's all the war souls we're talking about then?
The couple things worth noting, Longfangs, they lost their, I never mentioned it earlier, but the thing that I liked a lot about Longfangs, they had fire discipline, where at the beginning of the shooting phase, you pick an enemy unit that you want them to shoot at, and they get to reroll hit rolls of 1 against them. They don't have that anymore. They have Signum. In your shooting phase, each time this unit shoots, you pick one, if it has a pack leader, so they select one model and they hit on a 2-up.
They have a regular Signum.
These guys are literally just Devastators now. But they can take Wolfguard in their unit.
And they have an extra heavy weapon.
And that's right. They can have this. They can have a 5th heavy weapon.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait for the supplement to come out.
Yeah,
before we redress them.
They're still useful to have an army because they feel
if
that.
they're like that in the supplement, I'm a little disappointed. Like, okay,
Well, they're 2 wounds each now, which is nice.
obviously.
Yeah, and then the Terminator's 3.
How about any weapon profile changes? I would
the Melt-A-Gun? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, well, but unique to Space Wolves. Like the Hellfrost Destructor, is it the same?
They couldn't. They can't. Sorry, you're talking about the gun.
Any like?
Yeah, the Hellfrost stuff got changed a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So the Hellfrost Structure Dispersed is heavy 3d3, strength 6 minus 2, 1 blast.
Right. So this is the gunship. The 2 things worth mentioning on the gunship is the Hellfrost. The big Hellfrost Destructor got changed. It's heavy. It's 12 inches more range. So it used to be 24. It's 36 now. It's heavy 3d3 blast, but instead of it being strength 6 minus 2 damage, it's only 1 damage now.
Yeah.
It lost the damage, which kind of sucks.
The Melta array on those flyers seems kind of like a little upsetting.
It's a little upsetting because
It was clearly 2 twin like multi-meltas.
if any space, that's literally what they were before.
That's exactly what they were.
Yeah, so any Spacewell player that was like, I can't wait for my gunship to finally have those 4 Melta shots. Wait, no, 8 Melta shots.
It's just D3, 2d3 for one each
They actually literally changed it to a Melta array where it's just heavy D3 now, which is still better than it was before.
It's cheaper in points than paying for that many multi-meltas.
Yeah, exactly. But it would have, 2 twin multi-meltas would have had 8 Melta shots. This has got 2d3 now.
All the frost weapons are gone for now.
Yeah. So frost sword, frost axe, frost.
So
Was there a frost maul? I think there was.
no, it was
Frost axe,
sword,
frost
and
sword.
claw.
Oh, Frost Claw, you're right. Yeah, Claw. I was trying to think of the third one.
Okay, so we covered War Scrolls there. Oh, no.
Sorry, why the Destructor is different.
Oh.
The focus shot is now flat 6 damage
Oh, that's a big deal.
instead of D6. That's real nice. But it also lost the weird rule that if you wounded a model and it didn't die, you roll a D6 on a 6, they took a mortal wound.
Well, back in the day, that was like it was some sort of test, and you just
It was an
play.
initiative
It
check,
was initiative?
yeah.
You actually got encased with ice.
You encase them in ice. Now it doesn't do that, but it does flat 6 damage, which is like super nice.
Flat 6 is always amazing.
The gunship is better because it's got the melt array, which is better than what it was before, and the Destructor, I think, is the focus shot of the Destructor is, I think, better.
Okay, so what units to you are particularly interesting now with Space Wolves? Not just the new War Scrolls, I mean, even the ones from the book that are just benefiting from Space Wolves rules as a whole.
Okay, well, Thunderwolf Cavalry, like, for sure.
For sure. Okay, you know what? I'll rephrase my question. Top 3 units in Space Wolves right now for you.
Oh, yeah, we didn't cover the Dreadnought thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So, 100% Venerable Dreadnoughts.
Yep.
Thunderwolf Dreadnoughts, Thunderwolf Cavalry, and I'm still loving Swiftclaw. Like that, Skyclaws, I think, are going to be really good jump pack guys with the Astartes chainswords and like, all those extra attacks and now taking a special weapon on them, hitting on 3s or whatever. I think those are pretty good. Wolfguard in general, the Terminators for them are better too because they can have the storm 1-up save, 3 wounds, and they do mortal wounds when they attack.
Yep.
But I think Thunderwolf and Vendreads shine the most.
Yep, I agree. So in our game that we have in the vault right now, Luka just put together a list with a bunch of different things that have changes that you want to try.
Right.
Turned out to be a pretty solid list.
Yep.
And particularly, in the list he's going to bring 3 Dreadnoughts, one of them being Bjorn.
I have Bjorn and 2 identical Vendreads that have the Great Axe and the Blizzard Shield, which we didn't cover in the Space Marine book review because it wasn't important, but for the Space Wolf one.
But here's where it's key, right?
This is where it's key. So the Axe is the single powerful attack, instead of it being D6 damage, is D3 plus 3, which is leaps and bounds better.
Whoo, that's so much better.
It is way better. It's still -1 to hit, but whatever, you have Hunters Unleashed. And then the Blizzard Shield, I was kind of hoping the Blizzard Shield would go to a 4-up +1 to your save. It didn't, which is fine.
Yep.
Because that'd probably be too much, honestly. It's still 4-up and vulnerable save.
It would be too much.
But when you pair a Dreadnought that is 4-up and vulnerable save, an absolute beast in close combat, it could take a heavy flamer if it wants to. And it now has Duty Eternal at -1 to wound. And I because I had the trio of Dreadnoughts, I wanted to bring a Iron Priest from the Space Wolves, and I upgraded him to be the Space Wolf Master of the Forge.
Yep.
So he automatically healed 3 every turn, and he gave them all an extra attack. That worked so freaking well.
So stop it down for 1 second because we have to finish that thought. So we're going to talk in spoilers in a minor way. I think most of you won't care about what I'm about to say next. Like, it won't ruin the bat rep, but some of you won't hear this at all. So you can leave the video now. We're about done. Go watch our bat rep. It's in the vault right now. 2,000 points of Deathwing versus 2,000 points of Space Wolves. Now, if you're already a vault member, 7-day free trial. Watch it, leave, whatever. Check out the new Deathwing and Space Wolf rules. Now, minor spoilers about that game. That trio was so resilient.
I couldn't kill him.
I just at one point in the game, like, I'm done. I'm just done trying to kill him.
He couldn't kill him whatsoever. We're talking 10 Deathwing. We're talking 10 Deathwing Terminators with like +2 to hit, ignoring the -1 to hit on the weapons.
I suspect had I had nothing but chain fists, I would have had a different game.
Would have been, yeah.
But like, who has 10 Terminators model with chain fists?
Chain fists are like way better than power
The
fists.
fact that you're repairing 3 wounds a turn.
That's what the Master of the Forge does.
The fact that you have Duty Eternal on all the time.
Yep.
It was
Bjorn's toughness.
I didn't even swing at. I'm not even gonna bother swinging at this guy.
Toughness 8. So power
fists
are like
damage on 5+.
Yeah. So power fists are doing 1 damage to my Dreadnoughts. You're wounding Bjorn on 4s, the other guy's on 3s. I'm ignoring half of them with a 4-up and vulnerable save.
Now, we're going to be fair here. They are super resilient in close combat.
Yep.
All the changes to the guns that are like these mega lasers or whatever that are D3 plus 3 damage, they're going to tear down these Dreadnoughts.
Right.
That's what their job, that's what they're doing.
They're
You hide from
killers.
them.
I'll hopefully, at least because the Space Wolves can take the Blizzard Shield, that might get them the extra inch they need to be, right?
As it stands right now, there's nothing in the game that these Dreadnoughts are afraid to take on in close combat.
Oh no, not at all. They're strength 12, -4 in the Assault Doctrine, D3 plus 3 damage to swing, or failing that, they can double their attacks.
I guess they're afraid of an entire squad of chain fists.
Absolutely. Hopefully they kill them first.
Yeah.
Because Chain Fists are now flat 2, even so, like 2 damage each against these guys, ignoring half them. It's still gonna be a slog for the. It'd have to be a hell of a big Chain Fist squad to take them out.
Now, so my question: what do you think? Do you think even Terminators with Thunderhammers will do okay against them?
Right, but the AP's a little. Oh no, it doesn't matter. I got the AP's still good enough.
As the AP's good enough, you can work your shield.
Yeah.
So you do not want to put Power Fists in these guys. You need at least damage 3 weapons. So you're gonna see a lot of Thunderhammers still. Chain Fist and Thunderhammers will kill them in close combat.
Yep.
These good weapons are like these good anti-tank weapons are extra 3 damage. Are gonna do well killing these things, but your typical everyday unit is like aggressors, long fangs, anything else other than Thunderhammers and Chain Fists. You just happen to be in combat with them.
Yep.
You're just not gonna kill them. Not gonna go fast enough.
I'll tell you what, those Vendreads, like Steve said, I'll be happy to be in combat with the majority of everything in the game.
So I was just thinking, I'm just gonna start throwing all my bolt guns at them, start chipping them away, and then when I get to combat, I'll start tripping even slower. But wait a minute, automatic 3 wounds.
Yep.
So do I try to hit 2 at a time? Either way, solid. By no means game breaking, by no means crazy overpowered, but probably an auto include. Now.
I definitely had you typically want a unit, especially playing Space Marines with Honor or Oath of, I think it's the Oath of Moment.
Oath of Moment, yeah.
Like where you want to hold the middle, that's a heck of a good, them or Thunderwolf Cavalry are going to hold the middle of the table for sure.
So long as you have no macro lasers or whatever. But
yeah, of course. Any like massive.
But even still, that 4 Binval.
Yeah, 4 Binval, yeah.
Those Dreadnoughts are good for every Space Marines, but the fact that the Wolves get that shield on them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The 4 Binval is a massive game changer.
For me, the clear winners are the Dreadnoughts for Space Wolves,
Yep.
the Thunderwolf Cavalry, and I'm going to say Grey Hunters because I want somebody to bring them.
I just always thought Grey Hunters were. Grey Hunters are a little bit worse now because they don't have true grit available to them.
Yeah, for now.
now.
Like we know. And clear losers, Long Fangs.
Wolfen.
I'm a little apprehensive to say that, but yes, I see your point.
Yeah.
I can't dispute it.
And obviously the another big loser, which we kind of glazed over a little bit, was the hitting power of the Space Wolf characters just dropped.
Yeah, but I mean that's a good. I think that's.
But that's going in line with the rest of the Space Marine characters not being able to carry an entire army on their shoulders.
So there we go. There's what we think of the new Space Wolves thing. Actually, here's the thing. Luka said before we started playing the game, which we recorded yesterday, but it's all the same time for you guys, he was going to do this one game and then not play the book. Do you still feel the same?
I was a little, I'm like, I'm missing these strategies, missing those strategies, but there's definitely a lot of builds I can try now. So no, that is not the same.
That's a good thing. Okay,
I am
interesting.
definitely going to be playing a lot more Space Wolves. I'm just going to shy away from Long Fangs and Wolfen. I'm just going to do a bunch of different builds in general. Okay. And I'll try that out.
So, a reminder, there is another review up right now, most likely. It is, we're talking about the Dark Angels, which basically feels like a codex review because everything got so massively buffed.
They got some crazy cool new rules, guys. So check that out if you
haven't already. There is a game where we play these armies.
Mono and mono. It's technically an honor duel. These guys have always.
I know. I love the rivalry there.
And anytime the Dark Angels or Space Wolves come across one another, an honor duel is demanded.
That's true. Some little more lore stuff. So back in the day, the Primarchs fought each other.
Yeah.
His Primarch was dishonorable and sucker punched him. My Primarch, and then
So now they have honor duels. Yeah, now they have honor duels. There's
he won.
Yeah. There's one time where a certain Space Wolf character on McCrag, just a regular guy. I think his something. His name was Blood Brother. Essentially Blood Brother. And the Dark Angels show up, and then they come down, and he just marches right in front of Gilliman and says, I am honor bound to immediately start fighting them. So he goes up to Lion. He's like, I demand you bring forth a champion to fight me. And Lion's like, whatever, I'll be the champion.
Oh, what?
yeah.
Where's the honor?
Yeah, and then Lion's like, sure, I'll be the. I don't need a champion.
And
I'll fight you.
And
then the Space Wolf's like,
Clearly, the brave Dark Angels were like, okay, because it's not to the death. It's not to the death.
It's
an honor duel.
It's the first strike. It's first blood, first strike, whatever, and then. I assume most people have left by now, but so the guy actually it wasn't exactly like that. So he steps forward. He's like, "I demand an honor duel," and then right away, the Lion had these. He's always got like left and right. His brothers, right?
Yep.
Or his they show up. He's like, I'll fight him for you. I'll fight him for you. He's like, no, I got this. I'll just fight him for you. And then the Space Wolf guy's like, oh yikes.
Dark Angel guy.
Well, the Space Wolf guy was like, yikes.
Oh.
Because the Lion's like, I'll fight you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought this is Dark Angel going up to Space Wolves.
No, it was a Space Wolf. He like the
Space Wolf walked up to Lionel Johnson.
This Blood Brother guy, his name's Blood Brother, he walks up, so Gilliman's there waiting for Lion to walk off his ship.
Yeah.
And there's a massive procession, there's tons of people around.
So-
The Space Wolf guy like doesn't push Gilliman.
So
No.
Lionel Johnson was a dishonorable one.
Yeah, 100%.
What the heck?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
so the
all right.
Space Wolf guy marches past Gilliman as he's waiting for his brother to show up.
I respect that. I
He's
respect
like,
that
whatever.
confidence.
He's like, yikes, I've got an honor duel to issue right now, I guess. Like, I have no choice but to do this. He like throws his weapon on the ground. He's like, I demand an honor duel with your champion. Name a champion, I'll fight him right now. And the Lion's like, and then the Lion's captains walk up. Is like they walk forward. They draw their swords. Like, I'll fight him. Whatever, I got this. I'll take him out. And the Lion's like, nah, I'll fight him. I'll represent myself as a champion. Boy, was that fight hilarious. Let me tell you, it didn't last long.
I will, if what Luke is saying is true, and I'm saying it is, I believe Lionel Johnson was dishonorable in that moment. I'll give you that. All right, guys, go to the vault, watch our game, watch a Dark Angel review if you're interested in them at all. 7-day free trial. You heard all the spiel. You know what it all is. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy wargaming.